there were many claims in the last 200 years that we cannot really trust the testimony of the apostles. These claims were built on all kinds of arguments, but one of the most powerful arguments were the form critical approach to study the New Testament, and it was dominating 20th century scholarship. But there were two groundbreaking works that really deeply challenged and shook the form critical approach. One was published in 1961 by Birger Gerhardsson, a Swedish theologian. He wrote a book called Memory and Manuscript. And in that book, he made a strong case that in first century Judaism, there were methods to convey, to guard and pass on tradition in a reliable manner, if they wanted to pass it on in a reliable manner. And when that book was published, it got devastating criticism, especially from an expert in Judaism whose name is Morton Smith, and his student Jacob Neusner. And it was such a powerful criticism that most scholars simply dismissed Gerhardsson's thesis. But then others came along, and in 1998, his work was republished. And as a big surprise, the foreword was written by Jacob Neusner. And he said, "I'm writing this foreword as an act of penance. And I apologize. I was wrong. This is an excellent book. Its thesis stands. And I was misled by my doctor father, who was Morton Smith, who, by the way, thought that Jesus was a cynic sage, probably a homosexual, and published a forged letter of Clement of Rome, and it was found out to be forged. So he was discredited, and Neusner believed Gerhardsson. And this book turned to be a game changer in New Testament scholarship. The other book that I would add in significance to Gerhardsson's book is Richard Bauckham's Jesus and the Eyewitnesses, which was published in 2006. And I don't agree with everything that Bauckham writes in that book, but he made a very, very strong case that in the Gospels we have eyewitness testimony. It's true story. It's not just oral tradition. It's oral history written and passed on and preserved by eyewitnesses. So I think we come in New Testament scholarship. We come to a point where it is not just it's not just that we can defend the case that the Gospels, the apostolic witness is reliable, but it is the most plausible case, historically speaking.